Hey everyone, Nigel and Luke here, and welcome to Crime Zone. If you ask us, kidnapping is among the most terrifying crimes imaginable. Not only are victims literally deprived of their freedom and often subjected to nightmarish treatment and circumstances at the hands of their captors, but the cases are always a race against the clock. With each passing hour, it becomes less and less likely that a victim will be found. And it's that suspense, both for the victims and their families, that is particularly frightening, especially when the intention of a kidnapper is not known. Given the devastating nature of the crime and the impact that it has on victims and their families, you'd be forgiven for thinking that no one would ever try to fake such a thing. But sadly, you'd be wrong. Although thankfully not that common, occasionally people do try to fake their own kidnappings, often leading to investigations that are as bizarre as they are frustrating. Today, we wanted to take a look at two such cases, stories of fabricated kidnappings that we thought were particularly strange, but nonetheless interesting. Before we get to the videos, don't forget to like and subscribe to Crime Zone for more true crime content like this. It really helps us to continue building the channel. And if you've watched a few of our videos already, you might not even realize that you're not subscribed. While you're there, don't forget to hit the notification bell to stay up to date with our latest releases. With that out of the way, here is part 1 of 2 bizarre stories of fake kidnapping. In the spring of 2003, it seemed like Dar Heatherington had it all. The 39-year-old was serving as a rookie alderman on the city council of Lethbridge, Alberta, and looked as though she had big plans for her future political career. She and her husband of 17 years, deputy firefighter David Heatherington, had 3 healthy young children, and by all accounts were happily married. However, in just a few short days at the beginning of May, Dar's seemingly perfect life would be completely thrown into disarray, leading to a bizarre and sensational story that would last for more than 2 years. It began when Dar and some of her fellow city officials went on a trip across the border to Great Falls, Montana, as part of a delegation. The trip was only supposed to last a couple days, during which time Dar and her colleagues would be given a tour of the city and would meet with local officials to discuss a range of topics. Given the relative proximity of Lethbridge and Great Falls, Dar was one of several city officials that chose to drive, making the roughly 3-hour trip in a car that she had rented for the occasion. She and the rest of the delegation arrived on Thursday, May 1st, and by the next afternoon, things had mostly wrapped up. Though most of her colleagues left that same Friday afternoon, Dar decided to stay behind, scheduling another meeting with Great Falls officials for the following day, during which part of her time would be spent touring one of the city's museums. However, by the next morning, it seemed that Dar had had an abrupt change of heart. At 10 a.m., she called and left a message canceling her visit with Great Falls officials. This happened an hour after she had already called her husband to let him know that she would be home later than originally planned, and would miss her daughter's piano recital. Later that morning, Dar went to a pawn shop and purchased a used bicycle, telling employees she planned to explore some of the scenic trails in Great Falls that run along the banks of the Missouri River. She also did some shopping and bought gifts for her 3 children. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary until Dar failed to return home from Great Falls that evening. After hours of unsuccessful attempts to reach her, David reported her missing just after midnight. The next afternoon, Dar's rental car was found abandoned in the parking lot of the Great Falls Civic Center. Inside, police found shopping bags, several articles of clothing, and Dar's purse. The keys were found underneath the vehicle. Authorities announced that the disappearance was suspicious, but that they could neither confirm nor rule out the possibility of foul play. Meanwhile, searchers combed the area, aided by a helicopter and boat that scoured the shoreline of the Missouri River. Though everyone was hoping to find Dar alive, no one was prepared for what would happen next. At approximately 10:30 p.m. on May 6th, police in Las Vegas, Nevada, received a call about a distraught woman at the Treasure Island Hotel and Casino. The woman wasn't a guest at the hotel and was acting suspiciously. When police arrived, they soon learned that the mysterious woman was Dar Heatherington, who had gone missing more than 1,000 miles away just 3 days earlier. It didn't take long for Dar to offer a chilling explanation for where she had been the past few days. She told police that she had been kidnapped, drugged, and sexually assaulted multiple times. Though Dar said she wanted to press charges, Las Vegas police officers were unable to obtain almost any additional information from her. At first, she said she couldn't remember anything about the last 3 days, and then she said that she was too tired from her ordeal and couldn't speak to police. In order to preserve any possible evidence from her assault, Dar was taken to a hospital, where she likewise proved uncooperative. As a result, a thorough examination of her alleged injuries was never able to be completed, although several sources reported that she appeared to be in good physical health. Dar's mysterious behavior continued when she quickly left Las Vegas and flew back to Great Falls without ever going back and talking to police. Things only got more confusing when on May 8th, it was reported to the public that authorities in Great Falls had charged Dar with giving false information to a police officer. It turned out that after she had flown back from Las Vegas, Dar had been interviewed by Great Falls police, who found her story of abduction suspicious. Police would later say that during their interview, Dar had initially told them what she told officers in Las Vegas, that she was riding her bike and that she had been abducted, drugged, and assaulted by an unknown man. However, as they asked for further details, Dar began to contradict herself, and her story began to collapse. According to Great Falls police, Dar eventually confessed that she had lied about the circumstances surrounding the kidnapping, and told them that she had met a married man while on her trip who happened to be from Alberta. She said that she agreed to accompany the man to California, but still insisted that at some point during the journey he had assaulted her. Authorities didn't buy either of these stories, and said that they believed that Dar was actually having an affair. For her part, Dar quickly recanted any confessions that she had made, and instead alleged that the information she had given to Great Falls police had been coerced. She said that she was exhausted during the interview and simply told investigators what they wanted to hear. However, with a confession in hand and mounting evidence of Dar's suspicious behavior, public opinion quickly sided with the police. By this point, the story had made headlines across Canada and the US, and many people in both Lethbridge and Great Falls felt that they had been taken advantage of. This sentiment only grew when media reported that the Great Falls Police Department had spent an estimated $15,000 on the search effort for Dar. Dar's biggest supporter was her husband David, who seemed to almost take both sides of the issue. He said that he believed his wife's initial disappearance was due to an emotional break from stress at work, but said he really did think something awful had happened to her. He cited bruising that he had seen on Dar's body in the immediate aftermath of her discovery in Las Vegas. However, these claims were never substantiated. Believing that Dar's fabricated kidnapping was due to a mental health issue and not due to malice, prosecutors in Great Falls offered her a plea deal. The charge of providing false information to police would be dismissed as long as Dar agreed to stay out of legal trouble for a year and showed proof that she was seeking psychiatric help. Dar agreed to the conditions and signed the deal at the end of May. With the case in the US now settled, Dar returned to Lethbridge, where she was quickly met with many angry calls to step down from her position as alderman. She refused, initially saying that she would try to obtain a leave of absence before withdrawing her request entirely and continuing to serve on the city council. Though it was clear that controversy surrounding Dar was far from over, an unexpected bombshell dropped just weeks later, when on June 10th, police in Lethbridge announced that they were charging her with public mischief. Authorities soon revealed that the charge was the result of an investigation they had been conducting into allegations that Dar was being stalked. Just like with the kidnapping in Great Falls, police said that they now had reason to believe the stalking accusations were also fabricated. Police had first been contacted by Dar months before the Great Falls incident, in late October of 2002, after she claimed that she had received several disturbing messages from an unknown man at her office in City Hall. Dar told authorities that the messages had started out simply complimenting her, but had transitioned into obsessive and lewd comments about her body. Shortly after that, Dar reported to police that the same unknown stalker had sent her a series of typewritten letters, which had appeared at her house. Lethbridge police claimed that they had been suspicious of Dar's stalking claims before the incident in Great Falls had happened, and that the fabricated kidnapping had only raised suspicions further. Of particular interest to them was the timing. The night before Dar left for the trip, police had asked her to take a polygraph test about the stalking letters and had asked her to hand over her computer. Dar was reportedly not happy about either of these things. In her first public statement shortly after the charges were laid, Dar said that there was nothing wrong with her mental state and repeated her claims that her confession in the Great Falls investigation had been coerced. She said that she stuck by her kidnapping story and that everything that had been reported about her had been built on misquotes and outright lies. At Dar's trial in early 2004, the full extent of the police investigation against her was revealed. The public learned that to try and catch the unknown stalker, undercover officers in Lethbridge had followed the Hetheringtons for months, and cameras had been placed on their property. These tactics had been utilized before Dar was ever a suspect, but had ended up incriminating her in the eyes of investigators. In one instance, Dar had told authorities that one of the letters had been delivered to the back door of her home, only to hastily change her story when she learned that there was a camera placed there that she didn't know about. Once Dar was informed about the camera, she said that she had instead found the letter on the windshield of her car. Dar had also been seen at the public library, reading several books about stalkers and serial killers. A direct quote from one of these books later appeared in one of the letters that Dar allegedly received from her unknown stalker. But by far the most damning evidence came from Dar's own husband, David, who had reached out to police with concerns in the early months of their investigation in January of 2003. David had told police that he wasn't sure if his wife was telling the truth about the stalker, and suspected that she might be having an affair because of recent changes in her behavior. This included buying several new pieces of lingerie, which was out of character for her. David also provided police with a disc that he claimed he found in Dar's possession, which contained electronic copies of several typewritten letters that allegedly had come from Dar's computer and Palm Pilot. Some of the letters were similar to those she received from the unknown stalker, while at least 3 were exact matches. Importantly, they had spelling errors that David knew his wife frequently made. Dar's defense team argued that the evidence police provided did not actually prove that Dar had written the letters, only that they might have come from her computer. They pointed the finger at David and said that he had been motivated to fabricate the stalking of his wife because he was jealous of her career prospects and had recently been passed over for a promotion. On June 29, 2004, the presiding judge over the case sided with the prosecution, convicting Dar Heatherington of the public mischief charge. In his decision, he said that Dar could not be trusted to tell the truth, and explained that evidence like the direct quote from the library book Dar was reading was too convincing to be overlooked as a simple coincidence. Though the conviction was enough to get Dar kicked off the city council, she initially refused to step down, forcing the council to start the process of having her legally removed. Dar finally resigned in August of 2004, saying that she would continue to fight to clear her name. On September 10th, she was given a 20-month conditional sentence consisting of 8 months of house arrest, followed by 10 months of curfew and 100 hours of community service and counseling. Dar was never able to appeal her conviction, but did win an appeal of her sentence in November of 2005. The sentence was cut from 20 months to a year, and Dar Heatherington was declared a free woman a month later. Though many still feel that Dar got off too easy for her crimes, by the time of her release, it was reported that both she and her husband David had declared bankruptcy. This was allegedly due to a combination of strain on their family income and Dar's constant court battles. We were unable to find any information about what has become of Dar in the years since. However, we imagine that after her prolonged time in the spotlight, she was likely more than happy to fade into obscurity. Do you know of any other cases like this that you think we should check out? Tell us about them in the comments section below. As always, if you enjoyed our video, don't forget to like and subscribe to Crime Zone for more true crime content like this, making sure to hit the notification bell to stay up to date with our latest releases. Thank you for watching.